Hey there, truth seekers. Welcome to episode 171 of the Bible Difficulties and Answers podcast. I'm your host, Lance Smith, your trusty guide through the wild, twisty trails of biblical puzzles. Today, we're tackling a question that might make you chuckle or scratch your head. Does God have fingers? We're diving into Exodus 31:18, where the Bible says the Ten Commandments were written by the finger of God. So, what's the deal? Is God up there with a cosmic chisel carving laws like a divine sculptor? Or is there more to this than meets the eye? Let's fire up your curiosity. Ever picture God as a giant hand in the sky etching commandments like a heavenly artist? How does a spiritual being write anything? And what's this finger of God mean in a book that calls God a spirit? Hang tight, folks, because we're unpacking this with fresh humor, a splash of history, and a whole lot of heart. Let's kick off with a verse, Exodus 31:18 in the New Living Translation. When the Lord finished speaking with Moses on Mount Sinai, he gave him the 2 stone tablets inscribed with the terms of the covenant written by the finger of God. Vivid stuff, right? God hands Moses 2 stone tablets inscribed by his very own finger. But here's the twist. John 4:24 says God is spirit, and Luke 24:39 tells us spirits don't have flesh and bones. So if God's a spirit, how's he got fingers? Is this a biblical oopsie, or are we missing something? Let's break it down like a Lego set and rebuild it piece by piece. The key here is a concept we've danced with before, anthropomorphism, using human terms to describe God. It's like explaining a smartphone to your grandpa by calling it a magic box that talks to the world. Not quite true, but it gets the point across. In Exodus 31:18, the finger of God isn't about God having actual digits. It's a vivid way to show he's personally crafting the 10 Commandments. Norman Geisler and Thomas Howe in the Big Book of Bible Difficulties nail it. The finger of God is a metaphor for God's direct action, not a sign he's booked a divine manicure. The Bible loves painting God with human imagery to make his actions relatable. Picture this. Deuteronomy 7:19 talks about God's strong hand and powerful arm, rescuing Israel from Egypt. Sounds like God's been hitting the divine gem, but it's about his strength. Psalm 91:4 says, God covers us with his feathers and shelters us with his wings. So a heavenly eagle? Nope, just his protection. These are the Bible's way of saying, hey humans, I know you love visuals, so here's God's power in terms you get. The finger of God shows up in Exodus 8:19 too, when the Egyptian magicians called the divine plagues divine, pointing to God's authority, not a physical pointer finger. Let's hop in a time machine and zip to the ancient Near East. Back then, folks described their gods with human traits to make them relatable, like telling your kid about a bear who bakes cookies. Nobody thinks bears run bakeries, but it makes the story pop. In ancient texts, gods might walk or speak to show they're active in human affairs. The finger of God in Exodus 31:18 fits this vibe, shouting that the 10 Commandments aren't Moses' brainstorm. They're straight from the divine source, with God's authority stamped on them. The Jewish Virtual Library's entry on anthropomorphism says these human-like descriptions, quote, bridge the gap between the infinite and the finite, unquote, making God's actions clear to us mortals. So what do you think? Why use finger to show God's power? All right, let's keep digging. Ever wonder why the Bible picks finger over hand? A hand's like a divine sledgehammer smashing through obstacles. But a finger? That's precise, delicate, like a painter adding the final stroke to a masterpiece. Michael S. Heiser's, in his article Anthropomorphisms in P, that's capital P, says it's like God's showing off his precision, putting his personal stamp on those tablets like an artist signing a painting. It's God's signature touch, like a chef tossing in a pinch of spice to perfect the dish. This word choice screams that the commandments are carefully crafted, not just thrown together. Ever thought about what it'd look like if God did have fingers? Picture that for a second. Let's go deeper. Most Jewish and Christian thinkers agree God's got no physical body. He's all spirit, as John 4:24 says. The finger of God doesn't change that. It's a poetic way to show God's direct action. Wilfred J. Harrington, in his article The Finger of God, puts it perfectly. The phrase finger of God communicates that the commandments came straight from God, underscoring their divine origin. Okay, it's like God's divine John Hancock, proving these laws aren't human knockoffs. Some Christians might point to the incarnation, God taking human form in Jesus, per John 1:14. But that's a specific moment, not what's happening in Exodus. Here, God's in his spiritual pre-Jesus state, no fingers needed. Let's play devil's advocate for a sec. Could God have taken a physical form to write the tablets like a divine cameo? Picture him with a chisel squinting at the stone. It's a fun image, but it's like thinking your GPS is a tiny person given directions. It just doesn't add up. The Bible, from Deuteronomy 4:12's no form to John 4:24's spirit talk, leans hard into God being non-physical. A literal finger would raise more questions than answers. Now, some Jewish mystical traditions might dig into the finger of God for symbolic gems, like divine creativity or a cosmic blueprint. But even these, as the Jewish Virtual Library's anthropomorphism entry notes, don't claim God has a body. They're about deeper meanings, not sketching God with crayons. The metaphorical view wins. It's clear, consistent, and doesn't need a divine anatomy lesson. So why does this matter? Because this question teaches us how to read the Bible without tripping. If we take every word literally, we might picture God needing a cosmic barber for his hair in Daniel 7:9, where the Ancient One is described with hair like purest wool. But seeing these as metaphors unlocks a deeper truth. God's power, his care, his authority. The finger of God says the Ten Commandments are a personal gift from the Creator, crafted with purpose. Brian R. Doak, in his article, Written with the Finger of God, Divine and Human Writing in Exodus, notes that this finger imagery links the commandments to creation itself, showing they're as foundational as the laws of nature. Okay, let's wrap this up. Exodus 31:18's finger of God is a poetic powerhouse, not a divine digit. It's a metaphor shouting, these commandments are the real deal, straight from the Creator's heart. Michael B. Hunley, in his study Anthropomorphisms in Ancient Israelite Religion, says it best. These human-like images are about theological truths, not physical descriptions, showing God's authority over creation and history. So, does God have fingers? Not like you and me. The finger of God is God saying, this covenant, it's mine, personally delivered. It's like a love letter where your sweetheart writes, I'm giving you my heart. You don't expect a pulsing organ. It's about their commitment. This verse reminds us the Bible uses human terms to reveal truths we can't fully grasp, bridging our limited minds to God's infinite reality. And here's the cool part. That same God who etched his will on stone is still at work, shaping your life with the same precision. So, next time you're wondering where God is, look for his finger, not in the sky, but in the moments he's guiding you, crafting your story with purpose and care. Next time you see God's hand, wings, or eyes, smile and remember, these are love notes from a God who wants to be known, even if he doesn't fit in our sketchbook. The finger of God isn't about anatomy. It's about authority, artistry, and a covenant still guiding us today, inviting us to live in the light of his truth. That's it for episode 171, folks. If this episode sparked your curiosity or warmed your heart, head to BibleDifficultiesAndAnswers.podbean.com for all our episodes. Drop us a note at BibleDifficultiesAndAnswers@gmail.com. Visit our Facebook page or leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or Podbean. Next Friday, we're tackling Exodus 32:14. Does God change his mind? It's going to be a blast, so don't miss it. Until then, keep digging, keep questioning, and keep seeking the truth. I'm Lance Smith, wishing you good luck, good health, and God bless. So long, everybody.